PerkZ and Mickey can bring out in the bot lane this time round. I feel like they've been a very dominant duo that have just been very consistent in their ability to find advantages in the 2 versus 2, and already we do see the Yasuo ban coming out from the side of Vitality as a respect towards that bot lane.
And just because it's G2 for my casting debut, I do have a feeling this is going to be one that we have to react to rather than one we can predict, given the champion Ocean they play. You talked about Nocturne mid, the Garen signs are there. There's a real chance this gets weird and wonderful very quickly.
This isn't LCK. We're not going to see Sejuani, Ash, Tahm Kench every time.
You guys play Azir Corki every game!
That's true, and they're both open right now.
Uh-oh.
Oh no. Well, it looks like Vitality going to prioritize the Xayah Rakan duo. This may very well force G2 into the Rakan priority. Not really a surprise, given that...
Hey! This is the offer I'm looking for. The crowd losing their minds, but maybe that's a later pick. We'll give them some time.
We'll have to wait and see. The crowd right now, not very happy with G2. Sejuani going to be the hover. Coach Grabs looks like he's taking this game very, very seriously right now. Big comfort pick for Mickey in the form of Rakan. Wouldn't be surprised to see Jankos on the sedge.
Nor would I, but instead it's going to be the Azir, probably going towards the mid lane for Caps, although PerkZ, I believe, has played one solo queue game on it recently.
You know what, to be honest, it can probably be jungle, it can probably be
top lane for sure.
Like,
I've definitely seen top lane Azir games in certain matchups if you want to get priority. Still pushes really hard, even if it can be easily ganked. Vitality, though, sometimes they march to the beat of their own drum. They can go for very specific comps. They like to play their only Echo team that we have really around the world, for example, for Jiizuke. The Karma, though, we're saying pretty tier list, which is surprising for Vitality versus G2.
Yeah, I think that it's something that Cabochard does run sometimes up towards the top side of the map. Hopefully it encourages Vitality to play more towards the bot side. What I don't want to see from them is a Tahm Kench right now. It's something that they often default to. Instead, they're going to stick with the Corki, have a good matchup into Caps' Azir. He's been spamming a lot of Azir, by the way. Azir and Corki, he's climbed all the way up to rank 1 or rank 2 on the Challenger ladder. 300 points to the person below him. So he's definitely very capable on this champ.
And we see a Lucian lock-in, which I can see you're kind of scrunching up your face there, man, going, what do I make of this? Here's what something I'll say. One thing I do know is that mid lane Corki, one of its counters is mid lane Lucian. It's a really good matchup for the Lucian, just how the trading patterns happen. Q versus Q, you zap them with the Lucian through minions, and you can easily Relentless Pursuit away from the trade damage. So definitely not locked in that this is going to be a mid lane pick, because that would mean Azir is going somewhere new.
So while I would love to believe that, unfortunately today PerkZ tweeted out that he considers himself rather, the greatest Lucian player on the planet, and no one can play it as well as him. And then he showcased this solo queue record where he had like a 100% win rate on Lucian in his last 10 games. So I think just out of pride, he refuses to let it go anywhere else.
And I can understand where he's coming from. He prefers the caster AD carries really into Xayah, for example, as well. So the Lucian definitely fits into the wheelhouse, but it's G2 versus Vitality. I feel like there's still a chance something fun around the corner, right? Exactly.
I like the fact we haven't seen either of the junglers locked in yet either, as we have the Olaf banned away, the Sejuani taken away in the second ban phase, Nautilus removed by G2 because it is strong into the Rakan and into the Lucian, and the Kled ban finally here from Vitality.
And the Silas also removed from potential jungle flexing, so crowd knows what it wants. That part is clear.
There's the hover.
They're such trolls! They're such trolls!
They're not actually going to lock it in. Like, okay, so you assume that that's going to be the Gragas jungle. The top laner likely still has not been locked in yet. But I would be very surprised if they played what you would assume is a Karma top and they played Garen into Karma top. That's a horrible matchup.
Just feels like a balloon has been popped in the studio here right now. Everyone, air sucked out of the room a little bit, hoping to see still something promising to come from the draft. Vitality, talked about jungle pick already. They really don't know what to make of this pretty standard-looking G2 lineup. Again, look like they're going to go pretty ultra-safe right now. This would be a return to Cabochard more on a weak side top laner rather than some of the carries have been playing recently.
So there are also options if you go for the Poppy. Oh, Fiddlesticks! So Cabochard will be playing the Karma towards the top side, more strong top lane pick.
Oh, they look at it! All right! We're doing it! I'm looking over, I can see G2. They're looking at the caster desk and smiling.
What?
But where's it going, gentlemen?
They locked in Garen?
Yeah!
Okay, so the big thing about the Garen lock, for anyone who doesn't know at home, it was the only champion that hasn't been played in one of the top 5 major regions this year. which is why this Garen lock is
incredible.
It's more
than that.
Oh my word.
Medic, there's been 9 years of competitive play in Korea. It's the only champion never picked in Korea ever.
What?
I've been talking about it, I've been asking for it, I've been tweeting it grabs, and eventually it delivers.
I cannot believe they picked Garen. Sorry for you, Vedius, no Nocturne mid, but the Garen is locked in. He's going to play into the Karma in the top lane. We'll explore that matchup a little bit more when we get on into the game, because we also had the Fiddlesticks lock here for Attila and Jactroll in the bottom lane, trying to shut down PerkZ and Mykix.
There's a lot of early game power here for the side of G2. Garen's still going to be mostly early game. Azir pushing as well, and Lucian on the red.
Play Garen, Papasmithy.
You know, I play him in TFT and something.
Morellonomicon Garen, let's go.
I have no idea how Garen normally does. All I know is that against the Karma, I can't see that being a great matchup. So I can only assume that you have to invest resources up towards the top side of the map. And so I'm just kind of be looking at Gragas here to see how much he can support Wunder in this matchup, because I'm really curious as to what build Wunder decides to go. Is he Googling pro builds now? Like, how much Garen experience does he have?
Before we get on into the game, I want to remind people how important this game is for Vitality. G2 have already locked their playoff spot, but Vitality are challenging for it, currently 5 and 7. Want to take this win to keep those playoff dreams alive. Well, we have a game of League of Legends on our hand. Only one wacky pick today from G2, but it is Garen in the top lane, Vedius. And I know we haven't seen it that often. I know we don't often talk about it, but what insight can you give me into this pick?
Yes, Vedius, go along.
All right, let's try and figure this out, shall we? So he's running Unsealed Spellbook. He's also got Resolve as a secondary tree. So this does suggest to me that he is looking for a potential... He knows that the lane matchup early on is going to be tough. So he's going to look for an early base, TP back into lane, change his summoner spell to something like a Ghost. The advantage of running Ghost is it allows you to close the gap much easier, and I think it synergizes well with the Q movement speed that you get from the silence from the Garen. That allows you to then close the gap against Karma and gives you the potential to set up for a kill with Jankos. If he can get an early kill, then I believe the matchup can go better for him because he can itemize early magic resistance. And once he gets Merc Treads, then I believe he actually stands a shot.
I think that all definitely falls into line. I think, honestly, probably going to play weak side till level 6 when the kill threat starts to open up, when you get access to ultimate. Cool interaction, of course. You can still cleanse slows with your Q, so there's potential that the tether's not enough, the root doesn't come down, and Gragas is there. But I would imagine, with his regen passive, play a bit passively early, just go for those last hits. It's definitely going to be klepto investment from the Karma. This is a pretty free lane for her in the early stage.
Stacks on stacks on stacks for Cabochard. He has been one of the key players for Vitality, one of the key places that Vitality look to get ahead. Jankos has started red, got his Razor Beaks as well, now going up towards the Wolves. Both junglers seem to be pathing towards top side early on.
Definitely, you can also say there's a lot of kill pressure bot lane for Jankos from level 3 onwards with the Rakan and the Lucian as well, so there's a lot of potential to play bot side. That's why you don't want to get baited into babysitting a Garen. You didn't pick this pick to camp the lane by any means because the scaling into late game isn't there. Mid lane, very, very understandable matchup. It's going to be something to ignore as we get the power pick on the top side of Garen.
So notice as well how both junglers are pathing in the early game. We can see that Jankos has gone for a full topside clear. Very common for Predator junglers so that they can get level 3, go back to base and pick up the Predator boots just as Jankos has done. And this then does lead into a potential gank bot or top, very similar to what you were saying, Papasmithy. There is potential towards the bot side of the map, especially with the Rakan setup and the damage that PerkZ does have with his Lucian.
And at the end of the day, there's really nowhere for Mowgli to go. Kind of top and mid are both pushing lanes that don't have really any kill pressure to speak of at all in the early game, and bot lane for now not in a position to gank, so it's kind of understandable. He's largely been about the power clear, so he himself looking for a late invade here. They've been able to diagnose this pretty well at Vitality, and right now Gragas spotted in the vision.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like that you would expect the Gragas to go back, which means that because of the path Mowgli took, he got level 3 from doing red into full topside clear. His bot lane has pressure, and this allows him then to move down towards the bot side of the map. And there's little that Jankos can really do about it and stop the blue from being taken. So 3 buff start for Mowgli, definitely the only real early advantage you can find.
Trades continue on bot side.
Yeah, Fizz going to land onto PerkZ. They're silenced up as well with the Dark Wind, but Jactroll taken down to about half HP, and Mickey with the sustain from the Gleaming Quill can just keep PerkZ topped up for now.
A small timer to note for the viewers at home is that it's 6 minutes when you get the first access to your Unsealed Spellbook. Summoner change. Remember this with a lot of Ornn matchups, go Ignite in the matchup, and then ganks come. Speaking of ganks.
Oh, Mowgli actually gets in behind Jankos, and Jankos immediately turns tail and flees. Caps was there, but didn't really need to help his jungler at all. And it's the first use of the Predator Boots, not actually finding its connection. Caps will just dodge away.
CS numbers very low for Jiizuke in the early game here. So it's actually been pressured very extensively.
Yeah, often what we see a lot of in Europe is we have a lot of very aggressive Azir players that hard push lane very early on. I'm very surprised by how much behind Jiizuke is, because normally on the bounce back you can start to like close that gap, but Caps has clearly been playing hyper aggressively in this 1v1. Has allowed him to gain this advantage as Attila gets traded on.
Yeah, Mickey finding just the edge of the grand entrance there to get the knock-up onto Attila, and PerkZ obviously dashing forward, as you said, with the Relentless Pursuit, can trade pretty effectively onto Attila. No heal in the bottom lane for either AD carry and support, so it's going to be very explosive if a fight does continue after those brief skirmishes.
Team trading in the mid lane here. Very interesting to see where Vitality actually focus. I mentioned in the pre-game that they've been focusing on Cabochard's lane a lot more recently. That might turn into turret plates for kill pressure onto Garen, especially with Unsealed Spellbook. Is going to be pretty tricky when he can do a lot of different things. Speaking of different things here, Mowgli, 20 seconds off spawn, looking to solo out this Infernal Drake, and right now there's actually no one who's naturally going to be pathing around from G2.
Yeah, exactly that, Papasmithy, because you know that Jankos started full topside. You know that his camps on the top side of the map are going to be respawning, so that's likely where he'll be. You also have pressure in the bot 2 versus 2, which means that you can just glide in to the Drake as a Lee Sin. It's pretty easy for you to solo. So again, I really like what Mowgli has been doing in this early game. I feel like that, as Papasmithy was saying, you can't look for a lot of lanes to gank. So instead what you do is you try and put pressure on the enemy jungle, and right now that's exactly what Mowgli has done, and it's resulted in an early Infernal as well.
It's what we've seen him do throughout the split, sometimes to much less effect. Sometimes he gets caught out as he goes for those counter jungles, as he tries to steal away camps or get early dragons. But here, working out very well for Vitality early on. 6 minutes in, they have that dragon, and although there was that big CS discrepancy in the mid lane, that's now evened out just a little bit between Caps and Jiizuke.
And following on from Mowgli, so I was interested to see him picked up from kind of Afrika's sub-squad and then being put into the LEC, is that he definitely had, you know, the super aggressive spring split plays that I think paid off a lot at the start of the split, then started to fall away. And finding more strings to his bow, finding ways to dot the I's and cross the T's is the part where his integration hasn't worked as cleanly. A play like that, that is controlled, that is intelligent, that does respect where the enemy is likely to be, was a good look from Vitality.
Definitely was. You want to make this play down towards bottom side if you're Jankos before the level 6 comes out from Attila, and that's exactly what he does. Ignite down. However, Jankos is ticking down as well. He'll fall. PerkZ and Mickey maybe looking for the dive here onto Jactroll instead. Seem to just focus on the plates. Just want to get that little bit of extra gold in their pockets.
Really good silence coming out from Jactroll to allow the counter kill to come out from the Vitality bot lane. But G2 looking to pressure in this 2 versus 2. You talked a lot about it earlier on, Papasmithy, where if there was a lane that Jankos really looked to invest early on, it would be the Lucian and the Rakan. You want to try and have this Lucian with a lead in the early laning phase. You have great setup in the 2 versus 2, but now Vitality want to answer back in the top side.
Second buff Mowgli stolen away as he takes the red. Cabochard looking for the tether here, down towards the bottom side. The Crow Storm's in pop, and look at the damage coming out from Attila with 2v2. Mickey and PerkZ fall. Top side as well. Vitality find 3 kills quickly, and now Jankos tries to is going to have to try and find an answer. Gets straight on towards Mowgli, who uses the shield, gets a second from Cabochard, and Jankos now caught out. Almost falls, will go down, and Vitality are 5-1 up at 8 minutes.
That is an insane swing, and not just jungler related. They get the 2v2 kill on bot side as well. Jactroll staying in lane for as long as he did. Got them with the Crow Storm there. They get the 2v2 kill and also clean up on top.
Vitality fighting back against G2 in the early game. This is a 2,500 gold lead up against the powerhouse that sits atop of Europe right now. This would be such a big win for Vitality, but let's have a look back at this. Papasmithy, you talked about Jactroll getting level 6.
And that's the thing, is that he hasn't gone for the recall that he faked and was interrupted a couple of times. Comes in with Crow Storm, and definitely done by Vitality on the 2v2 kill. And we caught the start of this play. I assumed that with the minion wave cleared out, they would just pull away, but everything lands and just about taking down one.
Beautifully done from Vitality, and this is unfortunate for Jankos. The shield comes in from Mowgli, and the flash shield from Cabochard was just enough to keep Mowgli alive. and then Jankos, he can't finish the W animation in time to find that final kill. So very quickly, Vitality convert that into 4 kills, and it's only Caps that is yet to die so far in this game.
So good for Vitality early on, fighting against this incredible G2 lineup. Mowgli has been so good at setting his team up for success. The early Infernal giving them that little bit more damage. Now coming down towards the bottom lane. Know that PerkZ and Mickey lost out on the last trade. They do both have their flashes up though. Jactroll gonna flash into the fear. Pull back. It's too easy for Vitality. 6 on the board for them.
Once again, another exquisite play coming out from Vitality. This 2v2 that they draft for themselves, expecting the Rakan, has been working out very nicely. While at an early deficit, Mowgli now pathing bot sets up for a really great play onto Mickey, which G2 have no answer for, and now they're being forced off this blue buff.
Be the 3rd buff of the game that Mowgli has stolen away. Only 4 have spawned for Jankos. He has been put so far behind. Blue goes to Jiizuke. Jankos going to try and do something here as he joins up with PerkZ and Caps, but they just can't catch out anyone from Vitality. Vitality, with an impeccable early game so far, are putting G2 under the cosh.
And it's just one of those very, very rare games where G2 has no strong side of the map. They have kind of 50-50 parity on the top side in terms of wards, but it's easily pushed in by Karma. Bot lane.
Crowstorm coming out, but Mickey gets straight onto the back line. Attila will fall, and now Jactroll's not in the best of shapes. PerkZ can just rain down hell, knock back. Easy enough stuff here for G2. Jactroll tries to get into the bush, but it's the double for PerkZ.
And just as we praise them, they make the crucial mistake. Jactroll is too far away from Attila, and he gets chunked out by the duo of PerkZ and Mickey before the support can arrive. Immediately, they find themselves a double kill on the hands of PerkZ, and G2's bot lane is suddenly back in the game.
And definitely want to see the replay time and see why Jactroll opened it up with an ult that clearly his AD carry wasn't in position to fully profit on, because the out trade was pretty clear that it was very important for G2 to find somewhere that they could attack through. We mentioned it could be bot lane after the kill. We didn't think it would happen. We caught this part when Attila was chunked out, but from there, Jactroll just pops up the ultimate, tries to salvage something, but it was already too late.
Yeah, it looked like Jactroll was, fighting the mid. Ooh, solo kill coming out from Caps onto Jiizuke. A much needed kill from G2 as they are still 2k gold down. But beautiful stuff from the mid lane.
Yeah, G2 actually in their largest deficit at 10 minutes this game. Hex Flash here from Jactroll on towards Jankos, trying to force him away. The Sonic Wave connects, and Jankos very squishy. Mowgli looking for it, but the stopwatch comes in time. Mickey trying to trade here. Mowgli gets the kickback, but Caps is here with the teleport, and now he's just going to have to jump across the wall to safety. Should be able to escape. And will survive for now. I was saying G2 are the furthest behind this game they have been at 10 minutes in any game this split. 3.9k against Vitality. The last time they were anywhere near this was 2.5k when they played up against Fnatic.
And their bot lane's been talking about how they've been getting those 2v2 kills consistently in the bot lane, and that kind of a streak of 6 games in a row, I believe, was the quote. So that's why them going down early in this game was so atypical. Like, what I wanted to zoom in on G2 is that wherever they're being attacked, you know they're paying it back twofold in the other 2 lanes on the map, and that wasn't the start to this game at all. We've got the Garen here, we still have to evaluate their pick, but waiting to see how G2 picks up the pieces, not something they've had to do for quite a while.
Trying to pick up the Infernal Dragon. Mowgli coming in with the Sonic Wave is going to reset, but he stops it from doing it. Jankos with the knockback, and Mowgli is there. Crowstorm comes in onto Mickey, PerkZ off towards the top side of this, is chased off, and the Infernal Dragon will go across towards Vitality. Caps maybe going to jump across the wall here, looking for Jiizuke, but can't find the connection.
The big reason why G2 couldn't commit to that fight was because Wunder did not have the teleport. Notice how he's roamed down to mid, while Cabochard had his TP up the entire time. Being pressured in that lane, forcing the early TP out from Wunder has hurt G2's ability to contest these neutral objectives and gives Vitality another advantage, while Cabochard continues to extend his lead up towards the top lane.
Cabochard has done the most damage this game, and I'm sure it's damage onto the wallet as well, looking at potentially the gold from the Kleptomancy. But yeah, it's been a really interesting early part of the game. It still feels like a feeling out phase because the champions are a bit non-standard, because Vitality have been in the ascendancy for the majority of this lane. Looking over the replay, when it comes to all the leashings that were happening on this Infernal Drake, it was a good recontest from Vitality, because I think a couple of teams would have considered just pulling away.
So you can see the observer's highlight for us, how Cabochard is sitting there waiting for a potential TP ready for the arrival of the Garen, but the Garen never shows up. And while Jactroll does a good job of landing those silences and fears onto the target that he was looking to get the shutdown onto, unfortunately for him, Mickey makes a really quick decision to CC the Fiddlesticks to prevent that play from really resulting in anything. So I think we're seeing a pretty high-level game from both supports here, where they're constantly looking for opportunities to both protect and attack.
I do think there's a game-changing moment coming up relatively soon. If PerkZ decides to go towards the QSS and can get rid of that fear pretty easily, it actually stops a lot of what Jactroll wants to do in some of these fights. So we'll see if that's the itemization choice he makes after finishing this play to the Ruin King. Because if he does, that's when I see G2 starting to win out teamfights a little bit more.
So notice how G2 have now made a swap. They sent Lucian up towards the top side, and because they get priority over mid, they actually get access to the Rift Herald first. The problem with this is they give all this free gold over towards Attila, and G2 are not really in a position to actually threaten that top tier 1.
And honestly, when you look at scaling and kind of forecast where this game is going, if Xayah hits 2 items while Karma's there to group, and then you just wait for Corki to pile on Infinity Edge with 2 Infinity Edge AD carries, there's no clear-cut time where G2 have a scaling advantage. At 2 items, you can fight with the champions they have, get Garen going, and get out, but there's definitely not a late-game light at the end of the tunnel for G2 on paper, so we're going to have to watch really closely to see, can they kind of subvert those kind of on-paper things and just make the map plays?
Are you telling me that Garen falls off in the late game,
You know, I remember that from playing the game back in 2011, so I don't think it's changed too much, even if there's some new mechanics there.
He didn't really seem to do much in the early game either. Perhaps this is why we haven't seen this champion picked.
Like he's not a good champion, especially in pro play. And bear in mind, they willingly picked it into a Karma.
Yep.
We already talked about in draft how that was going to be a bad matchup, and if our observers could very kindly switch over to the gold, we can actually see the difference between the 2 top laners. It's 1,400 gold, and that's because of the Kleptomancy that, as Papasmithy alluded to, it's just freely being stacked up against the Garen because you have no threat. I feel like it was definitely an overconfident pick from G2.
A style pick.
A style pick is definitely one word for it. Because right now, Vitality sit with a 2,500 gold lead. G2 on the back foot. On the bright side, we get to see how G2 play from a deficit, because this is not a situation they're often put in.
Yeah, Vitality with a 3,500, almost 4,000 gold lead. Just to correct those numbers slightly, Jiizuke is going to get away with the package here, but the tower goes down in the top lane, and Vitality continue to extend that advantage. Rift Herald was picked up by G2 a while ago, but Jankos has yet to find the opportunity to use it. And Vitality are getting towards those 2 items. You've got a Trinity Force complete with the Hex Drinker already on Jiizuke. You've got Essence Reaver and a Zeal building up towards, I assume, a Rapid Fire Cannon there on Attila for a little bit of extra damage. And Vitality now once again own the G2 jungle. I believe Mowgli stole away the red a little while ago, and G2 very much on the back foot. 16 minutes in, they are a long, long way behind. Jactroll caught out just a little bit here, but look how much damage Mykix takes already. He's done. Attila gets the kill. A counter kill comes out for Caps. Down towards the bottom side, Jankos is kicked away by Mowgli. Cabochard joining the fight, and Caps is rooted up in place. It's a double. Vitality find 3, and G2 can do nothing about it.
G2 trying to contest this red side jungle, but they just find answers at every spot. Does Vitality. It's so hard for them to walk up, and so many people caught in transition to a fight that always seems set up to be Vitality favorite.
Vitality finding pick after pick, and now they're threatening this mid-tier 1. They're going after Garen.
Mowgli just takes him out. PerkZ gonna fall as well. Vitality. A delayed ace. Mickey just back in time, but it's too easy for the Vitality squadron right now. 6,000 gold ahead, looking for final outer tower. They are demolishing G2, and as much as you can say, you know, it's a style pick for G2, at the moment that style looks like losing.
Exactly, you can't really argue with that, Medic. I had this phenomenon a couple of years ago. We had 2 Teemo picks in the LCK before Viper did it and won, but there were 2 missed drafts that ended up with Teemo on teams, and the initial luster of we picked Teemo went away very quickly when after the early game it got very tricky to win. And even from the early game here, Vitality have just taken the battles they were favored to win. They picked them up, and you kind of aren't going to see a clear time where G2 can turn it around if it's not a very opportune pick or a mistake from Vitality.
Yeah, exactly that. I feel like G2 are running out of options right now. The important thing was that they got their 2v2 ahead in the bot lane, and while initially they did that, ultimately you can see that after the laning phase, PerkZ is not ahead. Attila has 2 fully completed items. He's working on his 3rd. PerkZ has to get an early QSS just so that he can avoid getting killed by Jactroll over and over again. Meanwhile, the jungler is 5-0-1 from the side of Vitality, and he's not even the scaling aspect of their comp. This comp only gets harder to deal with the longer the game goes.
And while some of the Garen-related hijinks will be glossed over or focused on after the game is over, a clear point is the 2v2 kill bot lane had nothing to do with the Garen pick. That was just heads up from Vitality's duo lane that's been heavily criticized. Here we go.
Jactroll going in with the Crow Storm, and Caps will be the first to fall. The chase is still on. Attila flashing forward. Mickey has to flash away, but the chase continues. Wunder kick back into Attila, and I'm not sure Attila knows what that Garen could do if he's in his face. The fear comes out from Jactroll. Mowgli there as well, and it's the 2nd, 3rd death for Wunder on a side lane. Jiizuke is going to face up against Jankos and PerkZ towards this top lane, but the Rift Herald will charge in and Jiizuke eventually will clear it out.
G2 are getting massacred right now, and rightly so as Vitality. They played the bot lane well, they attacked the top lane where they could, and Mowgli, his decision-making and pathing, in my opinion, has been exceptional so far this game. Knowing where he has pressure, where he can punish Jankos, where he can set up for ganks, I've been very impressed in what he's been able to do to assist his team in getting this huge gold lead.
Can't argue with that at all. From that very heads-up early Infernal, things have fallen into place wherever Mowgli is gone. We're going to watch Caps, and this was all of G2's own construction. They try to make this hard engage, but the priority basically everywhere around this play is Vitality first and the aggression to flash forward. That's the Vitality of all.
Exactly that. I think Vitality played that very well. Cabochard also landing the root as he flashes onto Caps means that even though Caps flashes away, he doesn't actually get to safety to then set up for Jactroll to follow up. Really well done by them. And now Vitality, the Baron hasn't even spawned yet, and I don't know if they really need to force it, because right now they just win every fight. They win out on sieges because how strong their poke is with a Corki, a Karma, and even the Xayah to a degree. I think I question whether or not they actually need to do the Baron or not, because that's the one potential avenue that G2 have to come back into the game, but even then, given G2's comp, even if they get the Baron, do they really turn things around?
Well, Vitality classically haven't been a great Baron team if you think back to kind of the last couple of years, so I can understand the trepidation there. I agree with you also in that a random Baron steal would be one of the few ways the game would at least extend, and potentially the Gold League could arrest a little bit. Azir is a red side champion, can poke behind the pit if you don't control it perfectly and do a lot of damage and get the Baron into range. So it's a lot of reasons to avoid that as Jactroll opportunistic, but not this time. No one coming to his party.
Couldn't quite find the connection there. Jiizuke was splitting down towards the bottom lane as well. Looks like Vitality settling for a 1-4. And as much as, you know, we've joked a little bit about the Garen and G2, you know, a little bit of a troll draft in inverted commas here, picking that Garen in the top lane. I do want to stress the importance of this game for Vitality. Currently sitting at 5 and 7, they're just on the cusp of playoffs. A win against a team like G2, who is so much higher than you in the standings, just propels you up towards even that 4th place instead of just sitting on the edge of playoffs.
And with XL trending up and a lot of teams trading places around those shallow playoff spots, I think absolutely you have to win every game in front of you, and a bonus win against G2 that you wouldn't have calculated is obviously fantastic.
Reminiscent of the LCK, perhaps, where every team sees.
Oh yeah, we got the trading places. It's the same.
Is it sandbag? Is it sandbox?
Depends on the day, medic. Depends on the day.
That's the question.
Well, right now, G2 are very far behind. Vitality having a phenomenal game. And now we're just kind of looking at next steps for Vitality, because they're grouping up a lot in mid. And even though you have a big advantage, you can't just group and push. That's not going to allow you to win games. You need to start spreading your pressure across the map, getting vision in, and Vitality have a few options with their comp, because they can leverage the Fiddlesticks Fog of War to look for picks. Lucian also combinates with that exceptionally well. They can also just take advantage of the very strong wave clear that they have to move in between mid and top. The biggest concern I have for them is how do they break the defense of an Azir who has a very long range and strong wave clear that can hold the line against a siege from Vitality.
Mickey fishing a little bit here, but unlikely to find any connections. My first impression is, you look at Vitality's comp, and you could run 1-3-1, right? Karma can go just whack him, get Klepto procs on Garen, and then also the Corki's in a very decent spot, as that was a Ignite, I guess, cycled there, onto Jactroll. But 4-1 is the safest. The more items Corki gets, the happier he is in a long lane against Azir. Rockets do more damage, the random crits do more damage, and then from there, you do fish for those picks around Baron as Corki inevitably pushes up. That's, to me, the standard way to play this draft with the lowest kind of risks, because you kind of want Karma running around and buffing your 3-item Xayah. This is the point you draft the Xayah for, when she's strongest and when those shields from the 007 secret agent Karma are going to be massive.
Yeah, I very much agree, Papasmithy. And right now what we can see is Vitality moving between mid and bot. They did just secure that tower, but now they are grouped up as a 5 in the mid lane. You'll notice that PerkZ is just going back to base to finally pick up his second major item. And we'll see if this is an opportunity for G2 to actually look to fight, because we're always looking for windows where G2 could maybe come back into the game. And Vitality, they have such a massive lead, and they're actually not pushing it as aggressively as I believe they could, largely because they're not taking full control over their side roads. They're being very patient, mainly controlling their Drakes, and this to me suggests that they're actually setting up for a Baron in the near future.
And if the viewers at home kind of wonder, what does Vitality pushing that advantage look like? It's getting some control wards. You already see one on the enemy blue buff, another ward kind of deeper in that side, just allowing Corki to push while the Baron setup happens. And as we mentioned it, they have largely simulated that. If you want to pick someone, you want to pick someone just on top of this red control wall that's going to be cleared. That's where Caps wants to sit and just jam soldiers into the pit from time to time. We see AP Gragas jungles do this all the time. I call it sad Gragas bowling, because you're sitting there and your only contribution to the game is throwing a Q and you don't even get your Raptors. Apparently they're taken away, so that's kind of all G2 are really able to do. That's all they should be allowed to do, and any other camps they get access to are kind of on Vitality when it comes to giving them over.
Pings are coming onto PerkZ right now. Wunder immediately going to TP in.
Yeah, super early, actually.
Making sure that PerkZ couldn't get caught out. And you can see it's Jiizuke in the mid lane trying to keep the pressure up. That bottom wave pushing forward for Vitality. But Vitality, without the deep vision here, it's a very dangerous road to walk around the Baron. And the question becomes now, how long will Vitality wait? They're not known as the most patient of teams. Will they do their due diligence before starting up this major objective? Jactroll caught out, Exhaust comes down, and the Cullen comes out as well. Jactroll goes golden for the second. Vitality not there to defend him yet. He flashes away, uses the Dark Wind, and will survive for the moment, but that's a big flash burn because that means he can't flash Crowstorm onto the back of the G2 team.
And Mickey was actually trying to play around all potential things. Defensive flash over the wall, stasis, ult, but in the end not able to over-pursue and just give up his own life for it. The Sun Turret goes down, and the gold lead certainly isn't growing from Vitality, but it is still very healthy at 9,000.
9,000 gold ahead. First G2's been behind in a long time. Vitality, patience has walked
Double Mountain.
in. They started up, double Mountain, double Infernal. G2 trying to react, and Vitality back away. Wunder off towards the side. Won't get hit with the Sonic Wave, doesn't really take too much damage. Of course, gets more tanky because of his courage. The more minions you kill, the more MR and armor you get as Garen. Promise you I didn't just look that up.
You're very convincing on your delivery there. Sounds a lot like the wiki entry.
That's very, very convincing. Vitality, though, going to push in mid here. The tower will fall very rapidly to these double AD carries, and they have now opened up the map just that little bit more. Jiizuke still stepping forward. Wunder there, spitting to win, but not quite enough damage coming out from that Garen. The pull comes back as Caps is down to half HP. Mowgli looking for the Sonic Wave, can't quite connect, and Vitality just chip away at that tower for the moment.
Yeah, I like this from Vitality. They managed to get the in route by that small exchange that happened between Jactroll and pretty much all of G2 actually gave Vitality an opportunity to get the mid-priority push, which meant that they pushed it all the way in, and G2 was kind of stuck as an outlier watching while PerkZ was clearing out the top wave. So Vitality were very easily able to gain access to this tier 2 and even the tier 3 in the mid lane, and after securing it, they then just looked to reset. Notice how the bot wave has been pushed all the way out, which now allows Vitality to reset actually just between two lanes, mid and top, because G2 is forced to catch this, and they can't actually extend. So this gives Vitality another opportunity to set up around the Baron.
And that setup is usually going to be a sum of control wards. And you look in the inventory right now, 4 people have control wards. Jiizuke is not about the control wards. He had a Biscuit before. Now he's filled up his inventory with more damage. If he's going to play mostly bot lane, that's fine. But now it's really about getting those control wards around the Baron pit. You have priority on. They control that area for now. You can see G2 having been super expensive to get anywhere near. And then try to keep tabbing on the infantry. When you see nothing's left from G2, that's the perfect time to start the Baron. That is the vision exhaustion play they'll need to go for. You can skip steps, though, if you get a kill.
Wunder has to flash away. Mickey going in, can't quite land the quickness as Jiizuke uses the package to get away. And now Vitality can be engaged because Mickey doesn't have that ult. PerkZ down to half HP. Jiizuke on that front line. Jankos will get them knocked away. And there's no minion wave, but Vitality now will use this time to get those wards that we talked about into the G2 jungle.
Yeah, they barrel down, they push in 1 minion wave, but they need to make the vision work because it's criminal that G2 are able to keep vision on Baron this entire time. 5 men in mid lane is a great spot. We see the wards here from G2.
I wish Vitality actually went top lane and played through 2 lanes rather than just 1, because as Papasmithy says, it gives G2 so many opportunities, but fortunately for them, they do a very fast Baron. So Vitality walk away with that one. They don't need control of the top, and now you can see the flank being set up by Jactroll. He's in the fog of war, he has the ultimate available, and they're looking for the collapse.
And you know what, we're analysts, so we feel like they cheated on their exam, but certain turns out they have enough damage.
You can cheat if you've got the damage to follow it up. Jactroll and Cabochard will take the kill, and now the base is broken. G2 lose their inhibitor tower, lose their inhibitor quickly afterwards. Caps is pushing down that bottom lane. Vitality kind of split focus here. They're going to push in, they've got the teleport, and they're looking for the win. Wunder spinning in front of them. showing his judgment. Mickey going in, but immediately he's feared and he's done. PerkZ has used the QSS on the backline. Cap's trying to do what he can, but look at how low HP he is. PerkZ dead as well, and Vitality breaking through the Nexus towers. Caps tries to take down Jiizuke, but all he can do is stop, watch, and look as Vitality take him out. A clean 8 for Vitality. They take the game, they take the base, and they continue their climb to playoffs.
Great game from Vitality overall. Very little to criticize. I feel like they could have pushed their lead a little harder. They could have utilized side lane pressure a little bit more, but who am I to judge? They got a big win against the best team in Europe right now, and I think a lot of people are going to be looking at G2 and saying, you know what? You could afford to lose this game. Yes, you have locked-in playoffs, but please never play Garen again.
We're gonna have, please don't pick Garen signs in the crowd.
That will be the evolution of that particular meme. Look, the Garen didn't look too hot, and it didn't give them a winning side of the map. That part is clear. I choose to focus on the parts that weren't Garen-related when it comes to what it means for Vitality moving forwards. The standings implications we've covered already, but the 2v2 kill for a duo lane, you know, I'm mostly on the outside when it comes to the LEC, watching on Twitch chat, memeing in Reddit, and there's been a lot of aggro targeted at the bot lane and their underperformances. So a performance like this, where they really were one of the important points for a Vitality victory, they deserve their praise.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think that the Fiddlesticks is a bit of a Jactroll special, and I think that his level 6 spike into setting up that ulti play into the 2v2 kill was exceptional, and I liked as well how they utilized that pressure and how he was constantly looking for these picks and plays. And you can't take away from the fact that this duo has been progressively getting better since the return of EU teams following Rift Rivals, and we only hope to see that Vitality continue to play like this throughout the rest of their split.
And if you wonder what it means for this match of the Eons we have tomorrow against Fnatic, G2 coming off a loss to Vitality, do consider, don't think they're going to be running back to Garen, so probably didn't show too much in this particular series for what they want to show tomorrow.
Here's a great thing, though.
I'm listening.
It means if Fnatic win today, if they beat G2 tomorrow, they actually tie it in first place.
And they have the head-to-head.
And they would have the head-to-head because they would be 2-0 over G2. That's pretty exciting for Fnatic and G2 fans out there. Because I think a lot of people just assume G2 far and away #1 team. And then you see them lose to Vitality. Yes, they picked Garen, but Vitality looked very strong. Want to give credit to Mowgli as well, his early jungle pathing, that early Infernal. Very, very strong from Vitality. Much more like the team we saw at Worlds last year, much less like the team that we saw in spring in the first half of summer.
Yes, I agree. And I can only hope that Vitality keep this up, because a lot of people are going to look at this game and go, well, there was a Garen top. The draft was terrible from G2. Of course, Vitality were going to win. But I think it's really important to recognize that at the beginning of this split, Vitality were losing to bottom-end teams and were sitting at 0-4 and couldn't even contest a lot of the teams that were freshly faced into the LEC. And even taking a win off G2 is impressive, is important. And as you rightly said, there are very obvious things you can look to criticize from the side of G2 that ultimately led to their downfall. So props to Vitality, very important win, and it was a very one-sided game. So very impressive stuff.
And aside from Vitality, if we get really pedantic about Baron wards, zoom out from that. Kind of everything around the map, if you're just focusing on their sides, was really well executed. So that's, again, the sort of stuff that Yamato probably will love the VOD review of this one, because it's pretty pristine from a Vitality perspective.
Definitely agree with you, Papa and Vedius. Great stuff all around from Vitality. It's hard to say anything bad about G2 because they are kind of their draft sometimes a little bit odd. It's like, well, the 2v2 bot lane is probably the only real point. Jankos actually got hard out jungled a lot of the time as well. I think you could look at some of his jungle pathing and think about where he is on the map.
Well, I think it's less about his pathing and just more about where he had pressure, right? Because his blue buff lost because his bot lane couldn't win 2 versus 2. And like, this is where the draft all ties into each other.
So you're saying it's Grabs' fault?
I'm saying it's Grabs' fault, yeah.
Oh, good to know. Well, key player of the game votes are on at lolesports on Twitter, Cabochard, Mowgli, or Jactroll. I think it's a hard one.
Yeah.
Jactroll actually had a really good performance. I personally would give it to Mowgli. I thought his early jungling really set them up, but whoever you want. That's the whole point of giving you the options. For now, though, we're going to talk to Vitality's bot lane, Attila.
Thank you, guys. Attila, tell me, how do you react when you lock in Karma, second rotation, and then you see G2 last picking Garen on red side?
I mean, it's G2, right? So they do whatever they want with the league at the moment, but I think they're just playing too much with fire, and when you play with fire, you get burned eventually.
I agree. It also proves that G2 can't get away with everything, which is healthy for the league, I guess. But jokes aside, how relieved are you to win against the first team in the standings?
I mean, I don't really care who they are. I just want the wins right now because we started really bad. Like we started 0-4. It was a really unique scenario, and it's always nice to win against them. But honestly, I just really wanted to win because we want to lock in playoffs as soon as possible and just start playing towards it.
Do you think it's going to have an impact on the performance you're going to have in the weeks to come? Because you said you don't care, but still, winning against this team is important, especially for playoffs and for standings.
I mean, yeah, the morale is always up when we keep farming these wins. I think recently we've been playing way more consistent, I'd say. Like we dropped a couple of games that we shouldn't have dropped, but at least we've been managing to win against good teams recently, so we just gotta keep it up.
I agree. The sad thing about today is the fact that I think that people will justify this victory based on the fact that they picked Garen, but I believe that's something else. So can you tell me why you won today? What made you the better team?
I mean, I think we just played better as a team overall. Yeah, the Garen pick made them really weaker, much weaker. I'm looking forward to face them again and actually having them pick stronger picks than just the Garen. But you know, like we managed to have 2v2 kill bot lane, like at level 6. It was really huge for the game. Mowgli played out of his mind this game. It was really easy to play with him because he just morphed the whole game. So I think we just played better as a team, and that's why we won, not because of a Garen pick.
Well, I wish that you guys can conclude the week on the best note tomorrow and have the 2-0. Thank you for the interview again. We're going to take a break, and coming back, it's going to be Origin versus Misfits.